weight feels impossible when you don't know what actually works. But once I learned these 6 key lessons, losing weight and losing fat became so much easier, and it will for you too. The reason most people struggle to lose weight is because they're not trying, it's because they're following the wrong approach. And I definitely fell into that trap, and I went through the same rat race over and over again until I finally figured some things out. And after over many years of trying, I've come up with 6 key takeaways that help me to lose over 40 pounds naturally in my 30s and help me to maintain the weight loss for over 4 years. So, in today's video, I'm going to help you to avoid the same mistakes that I made and help you to lose the fat faster. So, if you are ready, let's get into it. Lesson number 1 is mindset matters most. Mindset is the most crucial piece of all of this puzzle. And I'm a licensed therapist for over 10 years, so I can speak to mindset. And even still, it took me a long time to figure out this lesson. Right? But the reality is that the way that you look at and believe about healthy living lifestyles and how you will lose fat will determine your success or failure from the approach. I believed so strongly in the all or none mentality when I was first trying to exercise and lose weight. I believed that if I just, ate 1,200 calories every single day consistently, I would lose the weight. And then what would happen? I would end up over hungry. And then I end up gaining all the weight back because I decide to binge on a bunch of food. And I'm sure I cannot be the only one who has struggled in that struggle bus because it's really hard. And I would be, I would say to myself, like, well, you've got to work out every single day of the week. And if you don't, then you're not going to get where you want to be, and that's just not true. I have learned over many years the consistency of doing the habits matters so much more than what you're doing, even because if you're constantly criticizing yourself for not getting it right or not being perfect, you will always fail because there will always be a reason why you're not perfect. You got sick, you had an issue that day, it used to be, I would say, like, if I were getting up and I was ready to go to the gym or I didn't make it to the gym that day, my mindset would be like, oh, well, whatever, I just suck. That would be what I would tell myself in my head. But now what I tell myself is, hey, you missed your workout today, but tomorrow is a new opportunity. And then tomorrow I work out tomorrow. I hold myself accountable to do something, even if that something is 10 minutes or even if that something is just coming up here and throwing some weights around, for 15 or 20 minutes or going for a walk. I do something. It's okay to miss a day. You don't want to necessarily miss 2 days in a row. That sort of helps you to build the pattern. And if you're new to losing weight or things like that, a good way to kind of keep track of this is to say to yourself, like, okay, I didn't work out yesterday, so I got to do something today, even if it's a small something. That keeps you sort of on pace and consistent with the thing that you're doing. And that small mindset shift means everything because now I'm no longer setting myself to an impossible standard. I recognize that I'm human, that I'm fallible, but that doesn't mean I can't meet my goals. And that is the same for a lot of people, I think. I think if you get stuck in that place of like, oh, well, if I can't do it exactly perfectly, I won't do it at all. That will be your greatest deterrent of actually seeing success in the long term because you can't stay consistent when you're expecting yourself to be perpetually perfect. The other thing that, from a mindset standpoint, is the fear of failure. The fear of failure had such a stronghold on me. I was always so scared of embarrassing myself at the gym, so I didn't want to touch the weights or making myself look like an idiot, or, the fear of like my heart rate being too high. All of those things were getting in my way of making the progress that I wanted to see. And it wasn't until I acknowledged and realized that failure is learning and failure is part of the process that I was able to finally push myself past that barrier and actually break free into setting some goals. And, it became this piece of like, I can do hard things because we are capable of doing much more than we think that we're capable of. Our mind quits so much longer than our body does. Our body is designed to be mobile. Our body is designed to do hard things, but we mentally don't always feel like we're capable of that because of, various traumas that we've been through or lessons that we've learned in our life. It's understandable why it might happen to us. And I have a whole video coming. That'll probably be after this. A whole video coming about my anxiety and its impact on my weight loss and healthy living. So I won't get into all that today. But the short version is that the mindset matters most. So check your mindset. What are you telling yourself? What are you thinking? Because that is going to impact if you will be successful in reaching your goals. Hey guys, if you're finding this video useful or helpful in some way, would you do me a huge favor and give this video a thumbs up? It just lets YouTube know that this is a useful video, it's a helpful video, and it will share it out to other people who have the same goals that we do and want to live their most fit and healthiest lives. And if you took the time to do that, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Lesson 2, it's about lifestyle and habits, not goals. So it's not I want to lose 20 pounds of fat for summer, or I want to weigh 120 pounds. Those are goals, and those will only take you so far, because once you hit your goal, then what happens? You have to set a new goal. And I remember distinctly very early on in like trying to lose weight and all those sort of things, as I was so stuck on that number on the scale. And that just mattered so much to me. And if I gained a single pound, or if I lost a pound, it was like a celebration. If I lost a pound, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm a failure if I lost a pound. And that is the one challenge with goals, especially weight related goals. If you can make it a lifestyle and make it part of your healthy habits, you will be successful. And for me, what that might look like for you is creating healthy habits around your eating, saying that I'm going to eat 3 meals that prioritize protein and whole foods 3 times per week, or I'm going to, do a strength training workout 3 times per week. These are actually setting lifestyle goals rather than goals that are related to the scale. And realistically speaking, the intention that you have about why you want to lose weight really and truly matters, because we take care of the things that we love. If we are being a jerk to ourselves, or we're punishing ourselves with the things that we're doing or the habits that we're doing, ultimately that will work in the short term, most likely. But if we're punishing ourselves for eating a piece of cake, or we are being mean to ourselves because we missed our workout, setting ourselves up for those kind of habits and being mean to ourselves, for most people, is not a strategy that works. It will work for some, but for most people, that doesn't work. And so if we are truly coming into this place of like self-love and I want to take care of myself, we take care of the things that matter to us, right? Like, I love my cats dearly, and because of that, I take care of them. I talk nicely to them. I pet them. I feed them healthy foods. I do the things that I'm supposed to do to take care of them because I love them. And I deserve that same love for myself. And so it's really important that we assess where we are from a self love standpoint. Are you losing weight because you hate yourself? Or are you losing weight because you love yourself and that's just an outcome of taking care of your body? Because it can be really easy to get stuck in this place of like, well, I'm losing weight because I hate myself and the fear of judgment of others, but that's only going to take you so far. It really is important to navigate and know that you matter, and just taking care of yourself matters. It's not just about like losing the weight or whatever the case may be. That might be a byproduct, but the ultimate goal is to have a lifestyle and to build these healthy habits. I've done a whole healthy habits video that I'll link for you if you'd like to see it, because I don't want to spend any more of your time today talking about this topic. So let's move on. Lesson 3 is that weighing and tracking your food is not as complicated as people make it out to be. I definitely remember very early on an extreme resistance to tracking and weighing my food. I was like, it's going to take me forever. It's too complicated. I don't have time for it. And that was not true. That was a lie, an absolute lie, because it takes me 30 seconds to a minute. It would be even faster if I would stop being a cheapo and pay for the subscription for the MyFitnessPal, so I could just scan the food. It would take me less time, but I'm cheap and I don't want to do that. Why? I don't know. But it literally takes me like 30 seconds, and it takes me maybe a minute to weigh my food, especially now that I'm using the grams method, where you just put it on the scale, zero it out, and then use the grams next to the calories. Thanks, sister-in-law. That's genius. But it's not as complicated as we make it out to be. And I was definitely one of the people who I thought that nutrition had to be complicated, because you see all this stuff on the internet of like seed oils are bad and don't eat strawberries after 4 p.m. or like, so much stuff. Like, I can't even think of all of it right now, but there's always something about somebody telling you don't eat this or don't eat that or whatever, and making it feel like it's more complicated. And then it gets overwhelming. You're like, just forget it. This is just too much work. And it's actually not as much work as, I made it out to be. And that's why I try to show you guys simplistically what I do, what I eat in a day and things like that. They're not complicated because I don't make it complicated. I can't make nutrition complicated for me because I'm not great at cooking. So I want to encourage you that if you think that it has to be complicated to eat healthy, or that it has to be complicated to weigh and track your food, it is not as complicated as most people make it out to be. That's all in your head. So, big lesson for me. really helpful lesson to learn. Number 4, your nutrition matters more than your workouts. I mean, this cannot be a surprise to you. I mean, there's an adage of like, you can't outtrain a bad diet, right? And I knew it and I believed it, but I didn't buy into it or live it. And that was a really big turning point for me. For me, and I've talked about this a bunch, so I won't spend a bunch of time on it, but in the past, not in today's video, but I was a person who I built the habits of workout first and then I built the habits of nutrition second. And for me, that was the right approach. I think now, knowing what I know now, I could do both simultaneously. But as I said before, I overcomplicated nutrition in a major way. And now that I no longer overcomplicate nutrition, I think I could do it simultaneously. But you have to build the habits that are going to work for you, right? And for me, nutrition felt harder, so I did that second. But nutrition matters the most. Getting enough protein in your diet matters a lot. What you put into your body matters. And I'm doing a video. I just took a food and mood seminar that's fascinating. I'm going to do a whole video because it needs its own video. But the importance of adequate nutrients in our diet has a huge impact on like us as people. And I'm sure that's obvious to you, but like to a level that I didn't fully understand. Now that I know, I'm like, holy cow, I got to tell people this. And so our nutrition is a huge component of whether or not we're successfully able to work out, if we're adequately fueled for our workouts. And so by not taking care of our nutrition and only focusing on movement, you're really only getting a piece of the puzzle. Because especially if you are thinking about fat loss and weight loss, you're not going to be able to lose weight without being in some sort of calorie deficit. And so if you're not in a deficit, you're not going to lose weight. Period. End of story. So it doesn't matter what movement you do. If you're not in a deficit, you're not going to lose weight. But the way that we fuel our body matters, getting enough protein, making sure that we are, adequately fueling our bodies is the key to successful workouts and successful, growing of muscle. So we can't overlook nutrition. Nutrition is a crucial piece. And yes, movement matters, but nutrition matters more. Sorry. Lesson number 6 is that weight training is the powerhouse of body recomposition and losing fat and building muscle. Because when you are in the gym and you are rebuilding muscles or building muscles, you are increasing your basal metabolic rate, your BMR, the rate that your body burns calories at rest. And that is really important, especially as we age. It's not about our metabolism slowing down. Our metabolism does sort of slow down with age, but that's because we become more sedentary. When you think about teenagers, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, these kids are out there running around, running races, doing all the things, right? They're just going and doing all the time. But as opposed to us as adults, we're more sedentary, right? We're often sitting at desks all day, etc. So we're going to have less movement. And so it matters even more for us as adults, not even just from a muscle building standpoint, but from a bone density standpoint. Especially for women, it's really important in prevention of osteoporosis and things like that. It doesn't get talked about enough, but bone health matters, muscle mass matters. You are building yourself up for longevity. And the powerhouse to, transforming your body and looking fit and sleek and toned is about building that muscle while losing fat. And strength training is the powerhouse of that. Whether you're strength training with weights, whether you're, using some resistance bands and things like that. But ultimately, just strength training is a powerhouse. Just do it, please. If nothing else, please just do some sort of strength training, like at some point in your regimen. Don't just do body weight exercises. Do some sort of resistance training in some capacity. I'm kind of begging you at this point, to be honest. But, really and truly, weight training is such a powerhouse for me. And I wish I had known that before, because I was such a trying to be like a Zumba and Pilates princess. And that was great and all, but it wasn't getting me to my goals. And that was because I wasn't actually building any muscle. I was just being a cardio queen. And with that, number 6 is that harder doesn't always mean better. Just because a workout is harder doesn't always make it better. And more is not necessarily always better. More with a purpose can be better. But for me, and sometimes I still struggle with this, if I haven't I went from being the person who didn't want to sweat at all during a workout to being a complete 180 of that and being like, well, if I didn't nearly die, then did I actually work out? Neither of those is a great extreme. So I'm trying to find balance somewhere in the middle of there's an appropriate time and place for pushing yourself without feeling completely exhausted. And, in the sense of cardio is not necessarily king, right? And doing hit workouts all the time is not necessarily going to get you where you want to be, especially because doing high intense cardio like that is actually going to make you hungrier. So, more intense, harder isn't necessarily always better. And so, it's really important that when you're navigating, what is it that you're trying to do, especially from like a fitness standpoint, is am I making this harder just to like make it harder? Is it making me starving? Especially when you're thinking about fat loss, right? Especially when you're thinking about if you're living in a calorie deficit. If you are doing a ton of cardio, you are going to be starving, and being starving in a calorie deficit because of all this like extra like running or high intense cardio is not fun, and is oftentimes I think why people quit, because they're just starving, which is understandable, as my stomach tells me I'm hungry now. But those are the 6 lessons that I've learned, and I'd love to know from you guys, what are some lessons that you have learned over the course of your healthy living that have helped you to be successful that you wish you knew sooner? If you'd love it here, I'd love if you would subscribe and come and join the family. Let me be your non-judgy mom friend who comes alongside you to help you reach your goals.